I was enjoying the music, so thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity by the Sea Spiritual Center right here in beautiful Lincoln City. And let us start by standing and singing together our gathering song. Thank you, Randy.
Let's go. Here's to the babies in a brand new world. Here's to the beauty in the stars. Here's to the travelers on the open road. Here's to the dreamers in the bars. Here's to the teachers in the crowded rooms. And here's to the workers in the fields. Here's to the preachers of the sacred word. And here's to the drivers at the wheel. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the doctors in their healing work. And here's to the loved ones in their care. Here's to the strangers on the street tonight. Here's to the lonely everywhere. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to the wisdom from the mouths of babes. Here's to the lions in the cage. Here's to the struggles of the silent wall. Here's to the closing of the age. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. And here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above. Let the day begin. Let the day start. All right.
And here we are with blessings from above. Thank you, thank you. So welcome again, everyone. And I'd like to know if we have any announcements.
Class at 12:30.
Class at 12:30 today.
For
Yes, Course in Miracles.
second and fourth Sundays are Faith in Java.
Second and fourth Sundays,
If
Faith
you have
in Java.
questions, chat and get to know each other better.
Faith in Java, yes.
There's the new little water feature in the entry where you take a stone and hold it and either
Oh,
release
yes.
something or bring something to you or put it in a vessel of water.
Thank you, and that's been there since the first of the year. And it's a vessel, like a vase,
Yes.
that's on the table in the entry in the foyer, and it has some water in it, and there's some stones there. And you just, and I've done this probably every time I've come in, it's fabulous. You pick a stone, and you just hold it and listen to any inspiration. Usually I'll get a word or just a notion, a feeling. And then I just say bless you and thank you and put it in the water. So just invite everyone to do that. It's really a fun and inspirational experience. So thank you, thank you. And don't forget, today, 12:30 to 2, downstairs we'll be talking about A Course in Miracles. So, and I'm thinking that Pam will be here to lead that. If not, some of us who are there will. And I just want to thank Randy. So good to have you here this morning. And of course, we have Rev Georgie here this morning. So good to have you here as well. So life is good and very good, isn't it? And now, as we remember those blessings from above, I will light the Christ candle, remembering that it is an external sign of the internal Christ light that burns eternally in each of us. No matter how we sometimes turn away from it, try to extinguish it, it's not going to happen. It is that eternal flame of love and light that is who and what we are. And now let's settle back for our opening prayer. Guided and inspired through that Christ light that illuminates any apparent darkness and dispels everything unlike it. And I know that we are each here by divine appointment this morning. As we listen to our inspiration, as we hear these words of wisdom and light, as we sing together and raise our voices in joy, we are filled with that peace and love that is God in us, through us, as us. That is our experience this morning, right here, right now, surrounded by love in this sanctuary. I am so grateful to be here. And I'm so grateful that each of you is here sharing this magnificent Sunday morning celebration as we celebrate together. And I say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Time for that group song?
It is.
Yeah, if any of you have this really packed in your memory, you're going to have to unpack it a little bit and shuffle it. Usually it starts with heaven, but today's all about love, so we're going to start with love and end with love. And it's that simple. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today while I'm walking the road. Heaven right now singing, I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. Oh, I'm walking the road. Heaven right now singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today while I'm walking the road. Heaven right now singing, I'm choosing peace today. And I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today while I'm walking the road of heaven right now. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love. I'm choosing love today.
Nice, thank you so much. What an appropriate song for a few days after Valentine's Day, right? I would like to give a shout out to my husband who isn't here this morning because Valentine's Day was our 35th anniversary, so I'm choosing love today is a good segue into mentioning our prayer box and prayer requests. If there is a prayer request, perhaps it's an expression of gratitude. Whatever it is that is on your heart that you would like to share with Silent Unity this morning, I just invite you to fill out a prayer request form. It says prayer request. It could be a prayer of gratitude as well. Fill that out and either put it in our prayer box or in the slot in the prayer corner in the back, or in the offering bowl, the beautiful brass bowls that we pass around every Sunday. So many ways to write down that prayer, that thank you, and get it out there. So please, that all those requests and those expressions of gratitude then are sent to Silent Unity at Unity headquarters. And the truth is known about them for at least a month by the ministers and practitioners and licensed teachers at Unity. So that is an immense opportunity for us. So if that feels right, go ahead and partake today. And now if you will join me in reading our monthly affirmations. They are printed in your bulletin. And I know I like to, and up front as well, I know I like to take them home and read them every single day. And we do have a few cards in the back in the table in the foyer that you can, if you're so inspired to do so, take one of those cards home and read it every single day. It really helps me to stay focused and centered for that day and for that month. So if you'll join me, let's read first the February affirmation for Unity by the Sea, beginning. The heart of Unity by the Sea is a sanctuary of love and peace. Now for ourselves, and just feel this when you read it. Know this is the absolute truth about you. My heart is a sanctuary of love and peace. And it is. Amen. And now I believe we will have the daily word, and Marcy's going to share that with us. Thanks, Marcy.
The word for today is grace. I grow in God's grace. When a burden begins to feel lighter, when a happy moment becomes truly joyous, when the way through a frustrating challenge suddenly becomes clear, I know that I'm experiencing grace. Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth explains grace this way. God's desire to express completely through you and as you is so great that you never completely reap the harvest of error, and you always reap more good than you sow. This is grace. Grace is God's gift, constantly available to everyone willing to receive it. I look to God alone as the source of my good. I discover the guiding, healing, prospering presence of God everywhere I go, in everything I do, and in everyone I meet. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. John 1:16.
Thank you so much, Marcy. That is one of my very favorite phrases. Open me to grace upon grace upon grace. So thank you. Now we have special music by Randy.
Oh, I read recently that to consider that grace is all there is. Keeps it simple. You've got no reason to say you're all alone. change of season that'll melt your heart of stone. Love is just around the corner, standing out of view. Love is just around the corner for you. I can see his smile tomorrow, a reason to go on. 'Cause the day the sky is always darkest before the new day dawns. And love is just around the corner, standing out of view. Love is just around the corner for you. Don't ever stop believing the sun is gonna shine. It's worth giving and receiving if you only give it time. Don't think you found salvation or that the day is won. When you reach your destination, the journey's just begun. And love is just around the corner, standing out of view. Love is just around the corner for you. Love is just around the corner, standing out of view. Love is just around the corner for you.
Thank you so much. And now it is my blessing and privilege to welcome up to the podium Rev Georgie, and just can't wait for those words of wisdom and inspiration. Yes.
Well, good morning, everybody. Hi, Pam. It's good to see you all. It's been, let's see, I think the last time we were here was November. I took off December and January, and that was important to do that. But it's good to be back. Good to be back. And I see you've got some changes going on, and change is good. So, okay, well, as Jean mentioned, Valentine's Day was a couple of days ago. So a question for you. How many of you either received or gave a Valentine card, flowers, candy, balloons? Good. Almost all of you. Well, Paula and I went out to dinner on Valentine's Day. But I think it is just so interesting how many millions and millions of dollars the merchants tell us we have to spend in order to tell someone, I love you. You know, any day of the year can be Valentine's Day. This year at Christmas time, Paula gave me maybe one of the most treasured and beautiful gifts that I have ever received in my entire life. And it will live in my heart for the whole of my life. It wasn't wrapped in a big fancy paper and didn't have a big bow on it. Wasn't a pair of diamond earrings. In fact, it didn't cost her a cent. But she picked a real quiet time on Christmas Day when just she and I were kind of there. And She came over to the sofa and she sat beside me, and she held my hands, and she looked deep into my eyes, and she said, "This is my Christmas gift for you." She said, "I want to tell you how much I love you, how much I appreciate you, how you have enriched my life." And she spoke all those words and more directly from her heart. It was the most treasured gift I have ever received. Doesn't have to be a material gift, does it, friends? In fact, we can express that kind of deep love actually better by speaking from our heart and looking someone directly in the eyes at the same time. I had a friend years and years ago. She had 6 or 7 kids, and her name was Mary. And we were talking one day, I think it was around Mother's Day kind of thing. I don't remember exactly how the conversation was going, but I remember what Mary said that day. She said, "You know, Georgie, if my kids cannot honor, love, and respect me every day of the year, I don't want them doing it on Mother's Day." Would be too hypocritical as far as she was concerned if that's the only day that they could express the depth of that love. Interesting way to look at it, isn't it? You know, it's been said that we can't truly understand the unconditional love in the manner that God loves us, and I think that that's very, very true. But actually, I ask myself sometimes, do we understand love at all? Do we really? You know, now, I know what I mean, and most of us do when we say we love our spouse or we love our children. I know what I mean when I say I love my dogs. But I love ice cream too. Because we use that word so often. Over the last couple of years, I've been called back to the Course in Miracles. Now, I think that once you have a relationship with the Course, and I'm delighted that Pam has started a group here, you're never really away from it because it lives within us and it always sings its song through us at the right and appropriate time. I can't even count the number of times from the pulpit I would say something just out of my mouth that was pure Course of Miracles, but I have been called back to it in a much deeper, in a much richer way. I too started a group at Unity of Salem, and we're meeting weekly there. And then this next weekend, I'm co-facilitating a retreat with Diana Moscow. Pam will be with us next weekend for Course in Miracles retreat. I haven't done retreats now for years because I've been retired for about 6 years, but the Spirit said do this one, and so that's exactly what we're doing. So in this process, because it's a process, you know, I kind of get led from one little thing to another little thing, one inspiration to another. I'm always bringing something to the group that I'm leading back at Unity of Salem that is meant to challenge them. And I always tell them it's an invitation. Do it, or don't do it, it's okay. Now I've been doing this for quite a number of weeks, and they're beginning to take the nibble and to start to do some of the things that the Spirit is suggesting through me that they do. Well, one of the things that has kind of come through this process is I have come upon a teacher. His name is Tara Singh. That's Tara space capital Singh. He's from India, and was a great teacher of the Course in Miracles and has written several books about it as well. And somehow this little book managed to evade all of the purges that I have done with my books since I retired. It amazes me. It's happened a number of times, just exactly the book that I need somehow escaped and managed to move around with me. So Tara Singh says this on the subject of love, and I'd like to just kind of share this with you. So there's a a quote in the course that says, "I love you, Father, and I love you, Son." And we all think we know what that means. But do we? Honesty is required to know the truth. Possibly a 5 or a 6-year-old child would have a greater depth of knowing that than most of us adults. So he goes on to say, as long as we are content with just words, and most of us are, we will never get to know what it really means. And why is it that for so long we have not questioned? We use the word love so frequently, but we have hardly any notion of what it really is. I mean, the actuality of it, the actual state of love. Every single knowing is external to it. Every single word, including the word love, is external to the actual state of love. That is what love is. It's uncontaminated by words, and it renews itself all the time, every split second. Every split second, all the planets are rotating. Know that energy of that rotation. Can you conceive of that? Can our minds wrap around that? How many billions of breaths are being taken every second? Can you even wrap your head around that thought? To figure that out? Of course not. But can you see the energy behind it? That's what love is. It's that kind of energy. Its first impact dissolves all the words and brings one to innocence and to the purity of a saint. He constantly challenges me and whoever else I share that with his questions. Many years ago, when I was thinking about this message for you, and I think I called it something about the great adventure of love, something like that. This memory popped back into my mind. I had not thought about this for years because it happened in the first year that I was a minister at Unity of Salem, pretty new to the pulpit. And we were working with the Quest. Okay, Mary Alice and Richard's Chifola, the Quest. I did it 1 year. I never did it again because it was a 1-year thing and it was just a lot. We actually had 2 classes going. Candy Preston was doing one in the afternoon and I was doing one in the evening. But this particular chapter and this memory that came back from me, it's the only one out of that whole year that I really do remember all the details of it. It was on the subject of love. And I was holding the class, I guess, downstairs in the basement in the children's church. I don't know why we were down there, but we were. And I had set the chairs up in a circle, as I do. And then on my chair, I put a sign, and it said, "Come in the silence, take your seat. I will be with you shortly." And I waited maybe about 10 minutes for those folks that are a minute or two late coming in, and then I came in. And of course they were all quiet. They didn't know what was going on. This was a totally different way to open the class. So I went to each and every one of them, and I bent down and I gave them a hug, and I whispered in their ear. And I said, "I am so glad to see you here tonight. I love you so much, and I can see the Christ within you." I went all the way around to everyone and said that in their ear, and nobody could hear what I said to anybody. And then I took my seat, and I sat in the silence, because I didn't want to disturb the energy, not even with a prayer. I wanted them to soak and marinate and take that in, take that experience in. All too often we jump from one thing that is so precious to us, wham, we're off someplace else again, for whatever reasons that's about. And then after a few minutes, then I led us in a prayer and we went on with the class. But I have never, ever forgotten about that. That was such a deep expression of love from me to them, from as the whole group. We just felt the palpability of that love. You know, friends, love is generated through caring. Now let's take a garden, for instance, which is a great metaphysical example that we use all the time, okay? Those who love gardening, and I'm not going to put myself in that place because no, I don't, okay? But I do know people who absolutely love gardening and can't wait for this kind of weather to show up so they can get out there, and even though it's freezing, they're down there in the dirt playing around. They love gardening, and they know that they've got to nurture and nourish the soil, and they've got to know what they're going to plant. Is it plants? Is it seeds? But where are they going to plant it? So it gets just the right amount of sun, just the right amount of rain, constantly caring so much for those plants. And then when those seeds come up or those plants come up, they're feeling that love that has been poured into them, and they begin to thrive, and they begin to bloom, and they begin to offer their harvest, their fruit, back to the gardener again in that full circle of giving and receiving love. Here's a thought. We talk a lot about oneness, don't we? Okay? I'm not sure we've got have even a really good idea of what that means, but we talk about it, and we state it. Okay, let's take that one flower, just one flower, okay? Can you separate that flower and say, oh, this leaf is the leaf the sunshine came on, and this petal, that's the one that got the rain. That's that relationship. Oh, and this one over here, this is the one who received the love. Can you separate it that way? Can you? No. We wouldn't even think to do that. It's one. The sun, the rain, the love, the flower. It's one. So if you're wondering exactly what oneness means, remember that example. I think it's a really, really good one. Just before I was ordained, about 3 months before, somehow I stumbled onto Findhorn. I think I knew about it. Does everybody know about Findhorn? No? Okay, good. Because I'm going to tell you the story. So that's good. So anyhow, Findhorn is a place in the northern Scotland. Okay, and I came across a couple of books just before I was ordained and fascinated with the whole subject of Findhorn. In fact, I based my tryout talk for Unity of Salem on Findhorn. I called it, Is Your Pot Too Tight? Meaning you need to be transplanted to a bigger pot kind of thing. So here's the story of Findhorn, and I'm going to tell you this story because it is such an example of love and of how we work with nature and all the parts of nature, not just the sun and the rain, but the elementals, the fairies, the nature divas, all are there to work with us as well. It was Peter and Eileen Caddy and their friend Dorothy McLean who started this whole thing. They had been working for a hotel chain. Peter had been the hotel manager for 17 years. And at one point, the powers that be that owned this chain switched them, the whole staff, from one hotel that they truly loved and had brought to a beautiful place to another one that was kind of failing, okay? And they struggled through the year with it, but they weren't really happy with it. The month before, they closed the hotel because the season was over. I guess they do that in those kind of places. The lady that was in charge showed up, and she gave everybody a month's severance check and fired the whole crew, which just was very, very difficult. Eileen and Peter had three boys in school. They literally they lived at the hotel, okay? And that's where they also got their food. And so they didn't have a lot of savings at all. But they did have a little, what would be a travel trailer kind of thing. I think they call them a caravan over there, but it's kind of like a travel trailer. They knew they needed to make that travel trailer home, and they knew they wanted Dorothy with them as well. But there wasn't quite room for her, so somehow she managed to come along and stayed in another little place. For at least 10 years before this happened, Eileen had a habit every morning of going into a deep meditation and literally getting her orders for the day, okay? She wrote a book called God Spoke to Me. I'll read you a little piece of that in just a moment. So they had that, and so every day it was, okay, what do we do today? So they kept looking for a spot. How are they going to subsist? They've got 3 boys, how are they going to feed them? What's going to happen here? So they finally decided to go to this park area. It was near the sand dunes in North Scotland, and got permission to be able to use this one area, which was, without a doubt, the worst of the whole park. There were bottles and cans and garbage and stuff all over the place. Not only were they to live there, but they were to grow their food there. In a sand dune. Okay? So they kept listening for Eileen's directions from Spirit so that they would know what to do next. And they were told to begin to build up the soil so that they could plant in it. And this book I read on that was a long time ago, but I do remember they took seaweed and they used that, and they went to all the farmers along the way and asked if they could clean the stalls of the horse manure from the horses and in the pastures as well. And the only payment they wanted was to be able to take the horse manure away. Okay, and they worked that into the soil as well. Dorothy McLean had the gift of not only being able to see the elementals and the nature divas and the fairies, but communicate with them. Now, I read just recently that if it had not been for the help of the elementals, just no matter what they did with that soil, was not going to turn the trick for them. But with all of that working together, and Eileen's guidance from God every single day, they began to plant. Now, I'm sure they must have been the laughing stock of that part of Portland, or of Scotland, but at any rate, they just kept doing what they were supposed to do. And by the time they had their first harvest, they had cabbages that weighed 40 pounds. Okay. Everything was exponentially bigger than normally would be. And now it is still a thriving community over there. When the word started to get out, people started to write and say, "Can I come for the summer and work there and help you?" And so they just have people with all kinds of languages because they came from all over the world. But it was all the love and all of the nature connection that helped them turn a place that no one would think you could grow so much as a weed in, to say nothing of your food, which brought that about. I kind of forgot I had this book too, to tell you the truth, but there it was. I want to read just a little piece. This is all of her, or a lot of her messages from God, from the mornings, and it's all by themes. This particular theme I thought fit in here kind of nicely. It's as a man thinketh. Always remember that as a man thinketh, so he will become. You hold within you all power, and when you are ready to use it rightly, it is all yours. The seeds you sow will spring forth. So see that those seeds are positive, loving ones, that they are pure, good, unadulterated. As you think, so do you create. This is my law. This is the principle which needs to be understood and put into practice in everyday living. Remember that it is not enough to take a handful of seeds and scatter them on the ground. When you want a good crop, you take time to prepare the ground. to dig and nourish it before the planting takes place. So it is with the soul. It needs to be prepared before the seeds of the Spirit are planted in it. Many souls think that if they go to church once a week, say their prayers at night, and spend a few moments in the quiet with me, that is enough to carry them through life. That is like raking over the top of the ground, planting seeds in unprepared ground, and hoping they will grow. So it is with the soul whose heart and mind are not stayed on me, whose faith is not strong, who allows doubt and fears to come in. When the time for testing comes, that soul will be unable to withstand. Therefore, be grateful for the training you have been given. Those people had to work very, very hard, and what little cash they had at first came from welfare. And God calls it our training ground. So the next time you bump into those challenges, know that it is simply a training ground. So love is an energy. Love is a vibration, not an emotion. Charles Fillmore says to us that love is the pure essence of being, the power that joins and binds together everything in the universe. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. Care for that one. Love that one as yourself. I think the operative word here is as. You know yourself. You know how often you, yourself, me, I fall in the same category, chastise ourselves, berate ourselves, belittle ourselves. We're not good enough. We don't have the ability. Can't do this, can't do that. Put ourselves down in an unloving manner. Probably do that about as much as we do it for our neighbor, so I guess we do love our neighbor as ourselves, don't you? When you look at it that way. Right. One more little thing here from Tara Singh. So he says to us, so we sit silent. That clarity brings us in touch with the mind of God, and nothing is outside of it. One such person that can do that can sit quietly like Eileen Caddy and literally hear the words of God. One such person changes the vibrations of the whole planet. You can feel the presence of such a being miles away. He needs to say nothing. It's not a doing. The person who comes to this stillness has a blessing to impart. But it has nothing to do with the brain. Just his presence is a blessing. He doesn't have projects. Just his being is enough. His or her. He's always with the Word of God. He gives voice to the Word of God. And the Word of God is always love. Always true. It's never caught in outside religious forms and behavior patterns, dogmas and theories. It has nothing to do with it. Nothing to preach. Nothing to sell. It just sees the other as holy as he is himself. It sees that there is no other reality than I am sustained by the love of God. And let's stop there and just take this into a time of meditation with that awareness within us. Take a deep breath, breathing in, and let it go. You may still have your mind caught on something I said earlier. Catch up with me now. I am sustained by the love of God. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to tell myself all day long. I am sustained by the love of God. Oh, sweet Spirit, how reverent and sacred it would be if every time we stubbed our toe on a problem or a challenge or an irritation, we could quickly stop ourselves and say, I am sustained by the love of God. There is nothing else I need to know. Just breathe into that for a moment. Is there something right now in your life that is like a little irritant? It's like a pebble in your shoe. You just can't quite seem to shake it. No matter how much you shake your foot, that pebble won't let loose. Let it come to your mind, and then look at it and say, ah, but I am sustained by the love of God. And that's all I need. Nothing else has any power over me. I rest in the peace. I rest in that place inside of me, in the stillness that knows I am sustained by the love of God. I am sustained by the love of God. And so it is. And so we allow it to be. Thank you, Spirit. Amen. And now take a moment. And when you can feel yourself fully in your body, then you may open your eyes. Thank you so much. And now we have some special music from Randy. Is that right?
I think you're gonna do an offering.
Do you usually do that first? Okay. Well, in that case, let's remember that this is the opportunity to open our hearts and to give back to and support that which nurtures and supports each of us. And so I invite you to just loosely hold your gift in your hand and repeat with me the offering blessing which is in your bulletin and up front. I keep forgetting about the up front. Thanks for pointing up there. Oh, and let's just take a deep breath and remember that this is the absolute truth of who and what we are. Beginning, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen.
Boy, I may have told this story before, but because it came to me I changed my song in the middle of Georgie's thingy there. There are a lot of love songs out there. I believe I told this story before. If I repeated myself, it's a great story. But I also play the piano primarily, actually, in assisted living and memory care places. And I play in a place up in Bethany, it's up by Cedar, wherever that is. It's far north of Portland and out on the west side. Very, very big place. And I was set up to play for the memory care folks, the downstairs area. And was just about to play, and rolling up the hallway was a man in a wheelchair, singing the song that I'm going to sing to you, to his wife. Now, they had been together all of their life and had just been separated a few days prior to that because she needed more care than he did. So he was on a different level, and they visited infrequently, but they did all they could. And one of those frequencies was this time when I came to play music. They let him come downstairs and be with his wife. So he's rolling down the hall singing this song to his wife. The song, I think, was written by God, so just to expand your horizon a little bit there, from the personal to the universal. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do. All the morning sun and all its glory greets the day with hope and comfort too. You fill my life with laughter, somehow you make it better. Ease my troubles, that's what you do. There's a love that's divine, and it's yours and mine, like the sun. To the one. Have I told you lately that I love you? Have I told you there's no one above you? You fill my heart with gladness, take away all my sadness, ease my troubles, that's what you do. Somehow you make it better. Ease my troubles. That's what you do.
Thank you, Randy. That was- I've never heard that before. That really is perfect.
I do it while I was in the middle of it.
And so, let's just breathe in that divine love. That through grace blesses each of us. And I know that these gifts and each giver is an elegant expression of divine love. That truly, as we give, we plant the seeds, and what we give is returned to us multiplied and overflowing. And I say thank you for every gift joyously given here this morning. For I know it goes forth to nurture and support spiritual growth, deeper understanding, and divine love expressed throughout the world. And so it is. Amen.
And now I believe Michael will lead us in the unity statement for peace.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please join me in reading our statement for peace. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, the many ways to worship God. For there is only one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever they need for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war, for this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Unity stands for peace in our lives. The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the cat and the lion and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them. And they shall not hurt or destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord. I will not be the part of the killing of any child, no matter how lofty the reason. Not my neighbor's child, not my child, not my enemy's child, not by bomb, not by bullet, not by looking the other way. I will be the power that is peace.
Oh, and now, I know everyone's just kind of ready to hold hands and make that circle of love. So let's join hands and circle up.
Let's just remember that this is the circle of love. Just, it's outpouring, and it's inpouring in this beautiful sanctuary of peace. So I invite you, if there is a person, a situation, or another, for yourself, that is ready for a deeper acceptance of this divine love, just invite you to speak it into the circle or into your heart. For I know that divine love is the very light of Christ, that Christ light that transforms and transfigures everything unlike itself. That every apparent darkness is made light in that divine love. And so it is.
and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are,